Welcome back. In the previous step, we retrieved all the posts for a user. In this step, let's create the operation, that's the post operation, to enable creating the post for a user. Let's get started. I'm copying the post method that we created for user. So the URI to be mapped is id/post. So we would want to post for a specific user, and that's why we would say user/id/post. The post belongs to a user. So whenever we are creating a post, we need to know which user you are creating the post for. So that's cool. I would copy the path variable ID from here. Let's do that quickly. This is not create user anymore. This is create post. So let's change that as well. First, I would need to retrieve the user. So what I'll do is user repository find by ID. So actually we have done that in here already, right? So let's take that. I would also need to throw an exception. So this is good code to start with. I'll copy it in here. So what we are doing now is we are doing a find by ID, getting the user optional. If it's not present, we would still throw a user not found exception, because I'm trying to do a post for a specific user, but that user itself does not exist. We should not let them do the post. So that's cool. The other thing I would want now is the content of the post. What should I really post? So that's post. So we would get the content of the post in here, and I would add a request body annotation as well. So we would get the content of the post coming in as part of the request body. Over here, the user is present. So now user optional dot get, I would take it into a new variable called user. So that's cool. So I have the user variable right now. What I want to do is now I would want to add a post for this specific user. For this user, I would want to create a new post. How do I do that? One of the important things is now we would need to create a new repository. Create a new post, what we would need to use is something called a post repository. So let's copy the user repository and create something called post repository, because we would want to manage the posts in here. The important thing is this should manage a post, not a user. So I'm going to save this. I'm going to also need a post repository in the user JPA resource, right? Over here, I'll create a post repository instance as well. Post repository, and add AutoWired. And I got the user, I have the post. One of the things I would need to do is map the user to the post. So post that set user, the user which is retrieved from the database. And then I can use the post repository dot save the post down. This would save the post to the database, and I would now need to append ID, but not the ID of the user. Now I would need to append the ID of the post, the URI, and I'm returning the created location back. Actually, this was really simple, right? All that we had to do to create a post was we fetched the user. So we took the user, we checked if he's there. If it's not there, then we would want to throw an exception, because we don't want to allow to create a post for a user who is not there. Next, we got the user, we set the user into the post, and we are saving the post to the database. The post is saved. What I'm doing is once the post is saved, I'm getting the path of the post so that I can actually return the location of the created post. So we need to return the URI, the resource URL for the created location. That's one of the best practices in REST, right? So that's what we did. Now let's see what would happen. I would go to the earlier request that we sent. So we would want to create a new thing, 10,010 posts, and in the body I would want to put the new post that we would want to create. So I want to create a simple post, right? So all that I need to say is description, right? So that's the attribute name that we use in the post. So in the post, the thing is description. Description, my third post, because that's the third post for 10,010, and I'm firing the request up. So the important things are raw, JSON. I think once you have them set, you should be good. And now I get a response back saying 404 not found. The mistake is 10,010. It should be actually 10,001. We were using this ID for playing around with the request which was not found. So we have tested the negative scenario first. So 404 for 10,010, that's cool. I'm trying to create the resource for 10,001 ID. The 10,001 ID is mapped to AB. So I'm trying to create a new post for AB again. It returned a status of 201 created. That's pretty cool. Let's see if it's created in the database. And I would want to select the post, and there is my third post which is present in here. That's very cool, isn't it? We were able to now create a post, and also we were able to expose different resources around different things. In this step, we updated the user JPA resource to allow us to create a post. We mapped a URI of JPA users user ID post, and then we created the code that is needed to allow us to create a new post for the user, and we were able to successfully create a new post. You can try all the other options of error. Try and executing it with a non-existing ID, some invalid content, and also one of the exercises you can do is add a little bit of validation around the post. So you can have a valid added in here, and you can have a validation added on the description field. I'll leave that as an exercise for you. And the other exercises you can try is to add in different kinds of fields to the user and the post and try and see how the services work out. Until the next video, bye bye.